Alright, folks, welcome back to the Whore. Still here with Townsend. And Mr. C Rod is still with us, and the greatest world champion of all time, JPD. And we're joined now by my son, Michael Best. How you doing, son?
I am doing just fine.
Um, we did find out tonight. I know you'll hopefully listen to the show later, but we did find out a lot of things about Jace's character, how he personally attacked another man while he was sleeping verbally. So if you have anything to say to Jace, say it now because he's not going to be around. But Jace is a War Games captain. And once again, Mike, I feel like you got snubbed out of this. Your thoughts on that, real quick, before we go back into the show talk.
All right. All things considered, I mean, Jace has lost one match. Like, one match, and he's probably going to be the longest reigning HOW world champion of all time. So,
Oh, it's official.
realistically. Oh, is it now?
No,
Actually,
no,
I did the math, and after
no.
this week, we hit May 2nd, which is the record breaker.
Didn't didn't Asaldame have like 180 some days, though?
Yeah,
I hit
189.
181 on May 2nd.
yeah.
Oh, well, shit.
That's why you're going to get booked on a special Wednesday wreckage.
Yeah, I'm just not going to make it because Kosoff is going to pick up.
There's a show in my arena on May 4th, isn't there?
Yeah, but I hit it May 2nd.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean,
I'm disappointed.
obviously, as a handler, like 100%, I can't hate on that. Like, obviously, he's a no-brainer for a captain. Um, as a guy who's been with HOW for a few years, though, I was obviously disappointed. As last year,
I told America to pick you. He didn't want to pick you worth a shit. I'm like, dude, we got to have Mike and Townsend as War Games captains.
Yeah, why didn't you pick me, America? I hate you.
Well, again, let me ask this question. If you're in ground zero and you're a champion, raise your hand. If
Yeah,
you're in
fuck
ground
you.
zero
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
I
yeah.
could have been a
arrested-
champion by now, but I've been off all the fucking shows.
Dude, I can't triple book you. I was like, fuck. I can't triple book him. So,
What do you mean triple book, by the way? It's Danucci who had the title match. It would have just been me in the tag match and me against Scotty. There wouldn't have been a third match.
well, I didn't want to have a. No, it would have been
You didn't want
triple.
a triple booking.
Yeah. So, I didn't want to do that. So, it just spreads it out one more week. Pretty much Scotty was going to have to defend 3 titles in 3 weeks almost.
Hey, gives me a nice match.
There you go. Alright, so last break we were talking about. We talked over the stats. 3345 unique visitors to the site since March 22nd. We have a lot of people coming to the site and they're staying on the site for 12 minutes at a time. I'm looking at the Google Analytics right now. And then I look at our roster. We got a solid roster, solid size, but right now we have a lot of people that just aren't getting booked weekly. And there's people that they're not booked every week. They lose interest. They'll start going and looking around for Fisher Price feds where they can be the big fish, and they bail. Jace brought up a good point. We keep it as is. And, a roster spot in HOW has always been important. That's why we don't take apps. It's invite only. Um, but it's my responsibility to make sure everybody that I do bring in is having fun. And part of having fun is actually competing. And Jace also brought up another good point. There's a lot of shit you can be doing in HOW sites, having matches, segments, news, whatnot. So that opened up the dialogue. We have 3 options. One, we do 2 shows a week. No roster split, no draft, none of that bullshit. It was back before WWE did a split. You just have guys could be on both shows. You just have 10 shows. You have literally, if you do 2 shows, you have 10 matches a week. At the bare minimum, 20 people a week are getting booked. It's And then you're always going to have, rosters like 25, 26. You're always going to have people that need a week off. So that's ideal. 2, you have 3-hour shows weekly, meaning 8 matches a week, but 1 show. Minimum 16 people getting booked, but that's 8 matches a week, meaning I'm posting a show for 3 hours a week compared to 2, and we need 8 match writers. Third option is once a month, we keep it as is, but once a month we do a 3-hour show with 8 matches. The rest of the month, 5 matches. But that is only when the months we don't have pay-per-view that month. To me, the best option out of those three, personally, if I was running the Fed and was like god of it or something, I would pick two. But where
Which
I'd
one
have,
of those was 2 again? Like I remember all the options. Just remember what order they were in.
you should probably get a notepad out when we have segments like this. It would be the 3-hour shows weekly. We just bump it up to 8 matches. We turn into almost Nitro when Nitro got too big.
That sounds like, I mean, that sounds like the best of the options, except that I feel like people are going to be less apt to read the whole show.
Well, that was there's going to be pros and cons for everything, and that was one of the cons we
Yeah.
talked about. But I don't think people are reading the whole shows as it is right now. But the people that are on air, on Skype for the live posting, read it all because they're reading as you post each part.
Yeah, and they're the only important people anyway.
And they're the people that leave, and they're also the people that leave the feedback.
Very
Yeah.
true. And are on Twitter.
Exactly. You're gonna have your core group, and you're gonna have your people that just don't do the social media shit. That's fine. And if I hear David Black's name, I'll fire you. So, anyway, let's get some votes.
Anybody remember who had that crazy world title run last year?
That was me.
Me.
I went 101 days.
No, not you. That guy who always beats you. What's his name?
Oh, he
That
didn't
was
have
the
the
year
title that
before.
year.
Mike, do you really want me to just boot you out before we even
Not
start
me.
legit talking?
Yeah, I had the longest world title reign last year. Thanks.
America, best option.
Obviously my option, 3-hour show.
Every option. I mean, every show, 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I can at least pull 2, maybe 3 matches to help.
All right,
Helpful.
let's do this. You got 8 matches.
Okay.
Who's your match rider? You got 2 for America.
Yeah, I'm good for at least 2.
Townsend can handle 2. He's already stated that.
Halfway there.
We're halfway there. Mike is worth 1.
Yeah, sometimes I can do 2, but don't count on me for 2 every week. It really just depends.
Mike is worth 1.
Scotty.
Scotty Wood can't ride on Fridays. Mario is worth 1. 2, 4, 5. So you're at 6. I can definitely do 1 if I have to, on top of posting. But America, as you know, posting and writing just doesn't mix.
And then we
Then-
have
Then you
Shane.
so here. All right, so you got 2 matches. Who could be? You could have Ward, Reynolds, FaZe maybe.
Yeah, Pace.
Sector can write.
hmm
I think Witness could maybe write 1 here and there. So you have potential 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 for sure, maybe 5 people for 2 matches. If you took me out of it. If you took me out of it, you got 5 for 1. So you could make it happen. But you're counting on America and Townsend to carry their weight with 2 each. Mike and Mario 1 each, and I think that's no big deal. And then you just have to make do with another 2 matches. That seems doable. It's at least feasible. Townsend, what are your thoughts on what option's best and why?
The 3-hour show seems alright, man. If everybody pulls their weight with the match writing and that. You know.
Chase, what do you think?
3-hour show every week or the once a month. Either option seems pretty good to me.
Which one's the best one?
I'll go with the crowd and say every week.
3 hour. Are we becoming Nitro?
Well, here I have another thought on it, and maybe you'll like this, or maybe you'll really hate it. I don't feel like there will be anything in the middle.
I fucking
But
hate it.
what if, I mean, you know how for pay-per-views you always set the match order like after the RPs are posted, so people
Right.
get reported. Well, what if you started doing that now? Not necessarily like you do it for pay-per-views, but what if you started doing that every week? We run the longer show, sort of, but to reward the people who put in the most effort and do the best role plays, take like the bottom 3 matches out of a bigger card show and make them dark matches where they get like a paragraph write up about the match. And then you got somebody can hammer those out no problem every week, and everybody can want to get better every week so that they get something that's not a dark match.
Problem is outline. How can you do an outline proper?
That's true.
You wouldn't be able to do an outline the day of and then expect people to fill in a 3 extra long show with segments.
Yeah.
Shane can do
Now, if you Yeah,
Oh,
Shane.
well,
Can.
here's what you do then. You
Well,
know
here's
how
the.
you can't figure out a good way to enforce people RPing earlier on in the week?
Yeah.
Give the people with the RPs posted earlier. The earlier you post your RP, the less likely you are to end up a dark match. If somebody hasn't posted, if a match doesn't have any RPs in the last whatever hours, then they're a dark match.
It's still going to be an outline problem though.
Yeah, but then you're putting up the outline within like 48 hours of the deadline, which
how-
is what you usually do anyway.
Yeah, but man, it's still running the risk because you're hoping people post. What if everybody hasn't posted until that 24-hour right before then? Then you're
Yeah.
the day of.
And now, I don't want to completely throw away the match.
I like the dark match idea.
Yeah, I don't want to throw that away completely, but my fear is how are you basing that? Is it just off combined RP score of the
Yeah.
participants?
The only way I would do that is involve a no-show.
I can
Okay.
see that too. I think all no-show matches should become dark matches anyway. The only
But
thing is
we-
like you can't book. It sucks to book somebody in a dark match where they know they're not going to get to read a match for themselves, but they still have to put in the effort. Whereas if they do something to cause their match to become a dark match, it's their own fucking fault. So screw them if they complain.
Well, here's the problem with the dark match. When we do it, it's because one person no-showed and one person put in the effort, and that one
Yeah.
person, the other person that put in the effort, is getting penalized for a douchebag.
True.
Yeah.
Because
So-
wasn't freaking Legend was facing no showers like every week, right? And that was Townsend had that. Didn't you have that problem too?
Yeah.
Black no show. Well, barely got a role play up, but that was it.
Like, and see, here's the thing with that. You can't plan on that. You know, you really just can't.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do the 8 shows, we have to assume that we're booking. Everybody's gonna role play. If shit happens, shit happens. We deal with it like we normally do. And it might just be like whoever is assigned that match, well, you get to have some fun and do, where you pillage and rape them,
Yeah.
Because let's face it, when we have no-show matches in HOW, we usually make them pretty entertaining, more than they should be.
Yeah. It's really hard anytime you start like without a brand split running 2 shows. Like it's going to get convoluted between people trying to get segments in for one show and then in on the other show, and like people trying to keep up with both shows and getting people to write for both shows and finding a night that you can post both shows. So unless you were going to have somebody entirely different run the other show, at which point you'd have to do a brand split or things get crushed. Like it's just tricky. But there needs to be something in the middle of all this that doesn't have the cons. I just can't fucking think of it off the top of my head.
There's no perfect solution.
Because my fear, at
But
least
he-
with the 2 shows, is that, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but let's say that Mike Best versus Reese Townsend is our preeminent feud. What's to prevent it from dominating completely both shows so that it just crushes, say something like Kostoff versus Reeves? My fear is I just don't want. Like, for example, if Mike Townsend, myself, and Shane take a seg on the Friday show, I don't want them to also take most of the segment spots in the
Alright, here's my thought. What has worked for the last 4 years? Anybody?
One show
I
a
can only
week.
speak. Yeah, I can only speak for the time I've been here, but
One show. HOW is a machine. The machine knows on this night, whatever night it is, show's going up at this time, and it's probably going to last till 2 hours, 2.5 hours at the most. Card goes up that night or first thing in the morning, and we keep going. Next, rinse and repeat. I think if the roster's at a point now where we're shorthanded, we need to get more airtime, I think we keep we don't fix anything. We're enhancing what is already working by just making it longer. That's my point. I think we go to 3 hours. I think we add 8 matches. If Townsend in America, Mike, Mario, myself, Ward, Reynolds, Face, Sector, Witness, Max is back. Max is a hell of a fucking match writer. I think we have enough people that can cover 8 matches, and we know there's going to be times there's going to be a no-show. But for us to plan for a no-show isn't giving credit to the handlers, because everybody that comes in, we cannot assume that someone's just going to fucking no-show. If I knew someone was going to no-show,
Yeah, why wouldn't you just fire him?
I would just fucking fire them. But
Well-
shit happens, so I don't think we should plan for no-shows and plan for dark matches. If a no-shower happens, boom, we deal with it. Shit happened that week. Why didn't you just show up?
And I'm not saying that we have to, but is it a feasibility? So, like, for example, Quake just came in. Could we try people out on a dark match?
Absolutely, I used to do that all the time. We used to do it in this era. We did it. Remember, we'd have.
Yeah,
dark
I think
matches.
that just makes good sense.
We used to do that all the time. The problem is, we were doing really long fucking shows. They were still like 8 matches. When we dialed it down to full, that was when people weren't doing summarized matches either.
Yeah.
We got this down to a science now where we know some people are going to go over a little bit, but for the most part they stick to the plan. So there was never a need to do a dark match. Now we got to start doing dark matches again with tryouts. That might be a good idea. I used to have a 30-day. Remember, they get a 30-day contract. If they showed up, did their couple matches, we get them a full contract. Standard practice. We haven't had to do that because our core's been so solid for the last year and a half.
And with the exception of me, it seems like all the recommendations never flake out either.
Right.
All my recommendations seem to eat shit. I don't know why. Jack's the first one who hasn't eaten shit.
Yeah, and we're having a hard time getting him booked.
And he's itching. He's really wanting to be booked.
I know, and it's hard. So there's got to be something done.
Well, I mean, it's like I said earlier. I mean, I understand people want to be booked, but I mean, for Christ's sake, I just booked a match for Rumble at the Rock. There are things you can do in HLW when you're not booked to further your character, to develop feuds, to be sitting here listening to Townsend drunk. I mean, there's so many things you can do that you should never be bored. If you're bored in HLW, you are a boring person in life.
That is, I will give you that. That is true to a degree, but sometimes it doesn't matter how hot your feuds are. Sometimes if you've been booked solid, you just got to have a few weeks off because other guys need a shot, you know?
No, yeah,
Like
that's
it's not just a matter of you're not doing enough to get over. Sometimes it's that there's some guys who don't do shit for themselves and have to be put into everything. But for the most part, those guys don't last around here. You know, like I mean, me and Townsend have been, you know, hitting it every week, but you know, we've been booked solid for like the last 2 years, and there's other guys who are new who need the booking slots. It's not that we're not trying; it's just other guys need spots.
Well, I understand that, but my point is that these people, whether you're new or whether you've been here forever, you need to put in the effort to earn that spot.
Absolutely, I definitely agree with that.
All right, Townsend.
Yeah.
Give me your drunk high thesis on what we should do and why.
We should run the 3-hour show because it'll let more people get booked, and I won't have to moan about not getting booked. It'll be great.
Now, I'm counting on you, my resident stoner, to write 2 matches and possibly 2 role plays a week.
Yeah, sure.
3 hours of Townsend listening to Disturbed.
Fuck you.
That's a good point. Maybe
I
the
will say
first-
one thing though. With a 3-hour show, we should segment here, segment there. You know, this person doing whatever.
Is anybody else getting cutouts in like airtime? Like I keep missing chunks of
Yeah, me
conversation
too.
every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's because we got too many people on here.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me or my connection or something.
No, we got too many people on that are in too many different parts of the world. Technically, we're using huge amounts of bandwidth right now.
Our Fed's too successful.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I got Townsend high as fucking England.
Wales.
Jace, Whale, whatever, same fucking thing. Chase, where you at?
Maryland.
Maryland. We got Rogers. Well, his balls are in
Missouri.
but
The show me
he's-
state.
Yeah. And where you at, Mike? You're
I'm near Buffalo in New York.
Yeah. So we're just using a crazy amount of bandwidth while I'm recording all 5 of us. So That's why I try to keep the segments under 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we just hit 19-minute mark. As soon as we go over, we start having that happen. But I have no idea what Jay said, but I'm going to agree with him. And I heard something about segments here and there, and that was all I heard. So
I was just saying that with a 3-hour show, we should try harder to have segments that play out throughout the show instead of just random people doing whatever throughout the show.
Well, that's the other thing. If you do a 3-hour show with 8 matches, there's going to be more segments, and there's going to be opportunity for. We used to do this all the time, but people have more than one segment. Where I had Townsend had 2 last week to play off. Definitely, that'll definitely play into it.
Shane Reynolds has 9.
That won't happen.
I definitely, that would be nice, is to be able to see some people who need or want multiple segments to be able to get them in, as long as they're not, purposeless. Because there's been a lot of weeks I've been like, man, I have a great idea, but it would have to span the show, and
So
you just
I
can't
think-
get that many in.
All right, America, put up a poll.
Okay.
Not that it's going to matter. I already made up my mind, but at least make them feel like they got democracy or something.
Well, that's truly American then fake democracy.
There you go. I say we go 3-hour show, 8 matches, and we're really gonna. We're gonna be leaning hard on some of you guys for match writing. And the best way to relay hard on this is stick to the 750 to 1,000 words, summarize matches.
Some
know.
bitch.
And then that's why I always use Mike in the main event so he can go long. I mean, some people can't do it because when Mike writes a short match, it sucks dick.
Yeah, my short matches are awful, and I cannot, and for that reason, probably will not write with Kaylee. So as long as I'm writing main events, I'll probably start doing commentary on them.
That's fine. I wouldn't use Kaylee either. I just slap her with Ethan Kavanaugh's cock and keep going. There's no way I would use her. There's no way. That'd be like having Kaylee write with Benny. It's just not going to happen. Granted, Benny is involved in such a character, I think everybody here can write with Benny, except for new people. But there's no way. Some people shouldn't be using Kaylee.
I don't remember. Actually, I do remember who it was, but I'm not going to make fun of anybody on the air. But I remember reading a Mike DiNucci match once where somebody wrote Kaylee, and the whole match she was talking about how it was boring and she didn't want to be watching it. They obviously did no research whatsoever. And the only character she should be remotely interested in. They're like, this is boring. Is this over yet?
Did she use that voice?
And that's always how I read it. It sounds a little less like an elderly
read
gay
it-
man and a little more like a woman, but
Do you read it out loud like that?
I don't ever read the shows out loud unless
I do.
naked.
I do. If I have a snow cone, I do. I don't know what a snow cone means, but it's just nice up against your balls when they get warm after you're reading a great main event featuring Jace Parker Davidson, future Hall of Famer, greatest world champion of all time wrestling. That's just good stuff.
Soon to be deceased man.
It was good knowing you, buddy.
Hey,
Good
you know what
enough.
just occurred to me? That War Game spot's about to open back up.
That's a very good point.
Mike, would you like that? Because I'll give that to you.
I would most definitely like that.
Okay.
Why do you want to be captain so bad?
I don't know, because last year I feel like I got super hosed.
You did.
What are you talking about? I was the reigning champion of War Games.
No,
and I
no, no,
didn't
no.
He's
think-
talking about
Last year,
Sector.
Max Kale
No,
got
Max. If Max wanted to be captain right now, I'd let him be captain. That's how
and,
much.
And it's not
that's
even, it's not even so much Max. It was fucking Sector. Sector
say,
got War Games last
In
year.
Sector, I just gave him captain just to piss you off.
I was world champ last year and I didn't get to be captain.
Max could text me right now and say I want to be captain. I'll be like, okay, you can have it.
I
Max-
want to be captain.
No, sorry. Max just has that much cred with me. Because when Max wants to do something, there's a shit ton of reason behind it, and he has like 8 weeks of storyline built up in his head that usually equals goodness. So if Max were to come and be like, hey, I got a great idea. If I was captain, I could do this, this, and that. Boom. Done.
Right under Twitter.
But if Townsend said that to me like right now, he's not going to remember this conversation, so I don't know what the fuck he's going to do tomorrow.
All right, I'm adding this poll. Pray that I don't break the site.
Yeah, but surely that's the beauty of it, Lee. You never know what the fuck I'm gonna do, because I never know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
You know what you're going to do.
Vaguely.
You don't lie to me. You're a closet Shane Reynolds. You plan shit out like all the time, and then you're like, fuck. You just don't like.
I have a vague idea of what I'm going to be doing. on the next show. That's it.
Whatever.
Vague idea.
Basically, he plans out, and then Lee tells him no, 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 and fuck no, and then he has to replan.
And then I'm like, okay, now you gotta listen to Disturbed. And then the second segment, I need your ears to bleed. He's like, okay, that's good stuff. I'll just scratch everything out I just had written down about me and Mike.
Poll has been posted.
Awesome. Silent Witness just hit me up. He's ready to come on the whore. I'm gonna have to boot somebody.
Me, I gotta go to bed.
And we'll talk to you later. We'll be right back, folks.